Okay, hi. Well, if you're joining this live stream, I'm here to do a little bit of software archaeology. So this coming Saturday, June 23rd, is, amazingly enough, the 30th anniversary of the original release of Mathematica. In celebration of that, we're doing all kinds of things to celebrate that, but what I was going to do here was to try to actually run a Mathematica version 1 on an actual vintage machine and take a look at how it worked and compare it a little bit with what we have today. So, you know, back in June 23rd, 1988, one of the more visible things that came out was this book, which I wrote about Mathematica. It was, in those days, it was 750 pages long. We could describe everything in the system. Now, the corresponding thing is hundreds of thousands of pages. But there's a lot of very familiar stuff here. In fact, I was just looking. Let's see. Well, here, this is how Mathematica arrived. There were about 6 or 7 of these disks that were Mathematica version 1. Came in nice boxes, available at your neighborhood software store. It also came on tapes for things like Sun workstations and so on. When we announced Mathematica, we had a big event in Santa Clara, California. This was the invitation that, let's see, there you go. This was the invitation. There, look at that. See whether we can still compute it and still get the same answer. I think that integral still works out. The integrals don't change, you know, so I think it's probably still the same. Anyway, I found I was just looking through some of the archive material. I'm an archivist who keeps everything, so I've got all the material from the original announcement. This is this is kind of examples of what Mathematica did back in the day, like algebraic computation, and like it made plots like that. So, that looks like it was a very early brochure that came out when the system came out. There was definitely a gray and burgundy theme at the company then. Oops, the facts about Mathematica just fell out here. Oh, that's interesting. All kinds of quotes from all kinds of interesting characters here. A quote from Steve Jobs, a quote from John Koch, a famous chap at IBM who was involved in development of RISC architectures, various other interesting quotes here. Anyway, okay, well, so I've got, well, let's see, what's this? Oh, this is a weird thing. Wow, that's really weird. So this is an envelope that says, possible names for Mathematica, paren, not used. Wow, okay, well, that's a bit of doodling from back a long time ago. Let's see how bad these are. These are really weird. These sound like modern weird startup names. Wow, fancy that. I think some of them were actually machine generated. Wow, this was I wonder how many of these have now been used as actual startup names by somebody. Who knows? All right. Well, without further ado, let's try and actually do our piece of software archaeology, and let's try and start Mathematica up on an old machine. So, all right. Oh, well, that's a Mac. Let's try switching it on. This is a Mac SE30, so it's a slightly modernized version. That was the on-off switch. Let's see what happens. Oh no, this could be a disaster. What is it doing? That is a very strange pattern that it shows. Looks a bit like a cellular automaton pattern. Let's see what happens if we wheel the mouse around. Come now. This cannot fail at the very beginning. Let's see. When in doubt, I guess it's time to reboot. The Let's try switching it off again. And see, I don't know about the software. The bits don't rot. The hardware, different story. Now, why is it doing this again? There's some disk making funny noises there. So this was a quite modern creature with a hard disk. Oh dear. Well, let's see what happens. Do you think it's listening to its keyboard or anything? Let's see. I asked Teo Gray to virtually join me. Maybe he remembers more about early Macs than I do. Teo, are you there?
Yes, but that does not look happy. That doesn't look like any startup pattern I've ever seen before.
Well, this computer was working earlier, so let me see. What can we do? What happens if we try putting, when in doubt, how about we take this floppy disk and what happened? I wonder what's on this floppy disk.
It has a hard disk, right? But the thing is, that pattern there is coming up long before it could have read anything off the disk.
Yeah, I know.
It's like a firmware. It's not even trying.
Is there a way to restart the firmware?
Well, there is a.
I'm just sort of suspicious that if I put this disk in, I don't even know what's on this disk.
Maybe,
but it might wake it up in some way.
I think there is a pinhole in the back somewhere that you can stick a paperclip in, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, there's a thing on the front which clearly has paperclip capability.
Ah, right. You could try that. But switching it on and off really should have done more or less the same thing. But it can't hurt when in doubt. Stick a paperclip into an electrical appliance.
There I was thinking, what a nice thing to just show the thing starting from nothing. Because after all, in those days, you just switch computers on and off. And, well, okay, let's let it just, maybe somebody can look up what one does. Maybe that pattern, maybe we could take a picture of that pattern and just do an image search.
I really have never seen that pattern before. I've seen an awful lot of, failures to launch of Macs, but that is a new one on me.
Someone on the live stream is suggesting, is the programmer's switch attached on the side?
Oh.
There doesn't seem to be much attached to the side of this machine. You know what? I have a certain tendency to, I think it can do no harm to just pick the thing up and shake it. Anybody got a counter?
I would suggest whacking it also, probably.
What?
Just whack it upside the head.
Hard to just do something. Oh, come on. This is slap the CRT, somebody says. Yeah, I agree. That's I don't know how hard you hit it. I'm out of practice at these things. That didn't do a damn thing. Let's see.
You could sort of trigger, but maybe not while the hard disk is running. Maybe turn it off first so the hard disk isn't getting whacked.
Okay. Yeah, but what good is that going to do? Why would this?
Well, if it's has a bad connection, pin loose somewhere and bad contact with the memory modules, all kinds of things.
And we don't have a tool to open this thing, do we? Oh. Okay, all right, we'll try one more time here. Come on, do something. What the heck? This is the craziest thing. This was working. When in doubt, Well, let me see. This is no fun at all. I'll tell you what, before, okay, we're going to, someone else here is going to try to figure out what's happened to this Mac. And meanwhile, let me, I really want to actually get this to run. Wow, that's so crazy. It was working fine. All right, let me go take a look here. Something. So what this is, there is a connection, a serial port that connects to a disk. There is some kind of parallel thing here. I wonder what would happen. What is that? There's a funny connector with a kind of chain-like thing as its icon at the back of the machine. I wonder what that is. And I wonder whether there's a, what is this? There's a kind of a panel at the back. There's not a lot that, this thing is a very persistent pattern. Let me see. Yeah. Okay, so I think I actually have another SC30, but it has a different set of problems. But we could, in the interest of getting something to work, we could try it. I'm just really disappointed this didn't work. Well, I'll tell you what, let's go back over here and let me do something else for a moment here. Let me go ahead and share a different thing. Stop that sharing and start sharing over here. You know, I have the old, we have a whole scrapbook. It's called Mathematica30.org of things. So this is kind of what the original notebook interface looked like, very similar to the notebook interface today. Hopefully hopefully this is what we will see very, very soon, is a startup screen that looks just like that. Let me show you though. If I go back to the original version 1 book, we can kind of look at some things like, I don't know, let's say the graphics section, for example. Okay, let's see, 3-dimensional plotting. How about that? So this is now talking about plot 3D. And I wonder whether we can just copy paste that. Hopefully we can copy paste that. And let's make this a little narrower. Copy paste something like that into a nice modern thing here. Oh my gosh, that pasted us so that something completely different pasted there. Probably the, I wonder whether this is not allowing me to copy from the PDF. Let's try copying that. No, it did not copy onto the clipboard. Oh dear, well that would be very tiresome. I would have to retype, but we can see some of these things. It's a little ugly looking here, but I think there's very fine modern looking syntax. Let's go look at a different section of this book. We've got another, okay, we are going to try okay, we have another SE30 in position, waiting to fail. So let's go ahead and try that. There we go. Okay. All right, let's see what happens if I try this SE30 and switch it on. And drum roll, come on. Did this just come up with the same pattern? That's the craziest thing. That's the craziest thing.
That is pretty freaky, if I may say so.
What on earth? Wait a minute, that's now a different pattern. Why don't we get the other machine and try setting that up as well? But just plug it in and play with it. Okay, what is it doing? What is this one doing? So this one has a mouse. That's a good sign. Oh, look at that. What's that saying? That's saying I can't boot. Great. I'm telling you, hardware is just the thing to do is let's see. Okay. Let's see whether we can well, I'm glad this didn't happen when we first announced Mathematica on June 23rd, 1988. I don't remember. I would kind of guess that we had the computers all running there. That might have been a good cue for this event to do the same thing. What is this doing? Let me see. I wonder if I just stick a random disk in there, whether it will show signs of life or whether it has to have a system disk. I could always put an unopened Mathematica version 1 sample notebooks disk in it and see what happens. Let's see what happens. I can take that disk and stick it in there. I don't think this is very likely to produce good results, but might be kind of interesting to see. It just, blah. It said, no, thank you. That's not a system boot disk. Oh, somebody's saying there's a problem with the ROM connection. Memory is making a bad contact. You think that that's what causes that particular?
Yeah, I was going to say, if you could take it apart, the thing to do would be to wiggle the memory modules. You know.
Well, let's just plug in that computer. You might want to do that. Okay, hold on. Let me. Well, we may have to reschedule this. This is deeply unpromising, I'm afraid. My apologies for. Somebody is sending us repairing a vintage Mac SE30. Yeah, okay. That's a good. Oh, try Command Option PR to clear the parameter RAM. That is an interesting idea. Okay, you think that's going to work on that other machine? All right, let me go ahead and hold on. Let's just take this machine. I think this machine, the one we just set up, is not going to work. I think that's hopeless. Okay, and let's keep that out of the. Okay, so let's try machine number 1. And we got a whole parade of Mac SE30s here, 2 of them actually. And that one, I would say we switch it off. And let's just go ahead here and take the power out of that one, move it away, and plug this one. Let's move that one up so the camera can see it. And then plug this in. Now, are these identical or not? They both look identical. The mouse and the keyboard look identical. That is probably some clever piece of early design. Let's plug them in. Okay. And now, let's go back over here. And now I'm going to try this. Okay. Okay. Command Option PR. Command Option P. I think you have to hold that down while it boots, right? Command Option.
Yeah, you have to turn it off and hold those keys down, then switch it on and wait until you hear a tone.
Okay, switch it off. I'm holding down those keys. This is the craziest thing. So, I mean, what this is, what it's displaying on the screen is video memory, basically.
Did it ever make a tone? Like
no, it did not make a tone.
Yeah, so this is like deeply not working.
Okay.
But which I think we need to take it apart and find any chips that are plugged into sockets and wiggle them.
Great. But it requires that special tool to take it apart, right?
2 special tools. Well, you need a Torx, which is not so weird anymore, but then you need the sort of hinge spreader thing, although you can just sort of finagle it to get it apart.
All right, I think we're going to give up here. Well, okay, maybe we can at least look at something. Gosh, what I was hoping to do was to take a bunch of old Mathematica version 1.0 code and move it over and run it in version 11. And most things just work great, which is always a pleasure. And it's nothing like this experience where I'm actually kind of interested in this pattern. I wonder what this pattern is. I can't, it makes me kind of want to just take a picture of that pattern and try and analyze it. But I don't think that's very useful. It is I mean, what can we see?
It looks like bits, it looks like bytes. You could probably figure out what the numbers are.
Yeah. And what good is that going to do us?
Not much.
It's going to show us that a piece of video memory has CRUD written in it. I mean, this is just a mapping of video memory, isn't it? What you see on the screen.
Yeah, presumably. I mean, assuming that the video output chips are working properly.
As opposed to what do you think this otherwise is? I mean, it's clearly something digital, right? It's not.
Yeah, it's obviously right. I mean, no, it's got to be. It's just that's what's in the video memory.
Right, for whatever reason.
I believe is main memory in that model. I think that there's not like there's separate video memory. I don't think.
Okay.
So it could actually just be the video output pointing at some random place in memory before it's even set up the notion of where is the video memory.
All right. Look, I think what we're going to do is this. Gosh, we got 2 Mac SE30s here, and neither of them work. We have other. Oh wait, what just happened? It just changed. The screen just changed. Did you see that? Oh my gosh.
Oh.
That's the craziest thing. It's booting.
Whoa.
What on earth just happened? Wowee. Oh my gosh. Well, okay. Do I dare to move it an inch forward? Perhaps not. That's the craziest thing. Well, okay. Persistence pays off, I guess. Not that I did anything. Wow. Okay, well all right, let's wow, okay. I'm going to wait for its hard disk to stop running, and then I'm going to do a terribly scary thing and try and move it a tiny bit forward because I think it will work better. Don't fail. There we go. Okay. Hey, this is cool. All right. Well, look at that. We could start. There we go. Let's see if I still know how to work something like this. Yeah, I'm sorry about the flashing. It's the webcam that we have doesn't interact perfectly with the refresh rate of the screen. And who knows, maybe this thing has, okay, so there we go. So let's see, I don't know what math A and B and things are, but let's try double clicking on Mathematica. Wake up, wake up, there we go. Look at that, Mathematica, oh yeah, okay. So there we go, there's a window. So let's try the tried and true 2 plus 2. And there's a cell, shift enter. Let's see what happens. Now that thing on the bottom there, that thing there, that's the memory monitor. So that's showing it just used a megabyte of memory. It's heading for 1.25 megabytes of memory. Is it going to make it? How much memory is it going to take to do 2 plus 2? Ta-da! Okay, it managed to get 4. Congratulations to it. Let's see whether it managed. My test always, let's just try something more modest. Let's try 100 factorial. Okay, that worked. Now my test for computers and their speed is always 1989 to the power 1989, which I think I only started doing in 1989 because it didn't work so well in 1988. So let's see how it does on this computer. Okay. You know, this is absolutely instantaneous, like millisecond time scale in today's world. This may be a terrible mistake. Oh my gosh, what's happening here? The maybe this is why I only started doing this in 1989. Because it just ran too slowly here. It's gonna come back. I know it's gonna come back. Well, at least I think it's gonna come back. It's not using any more memory, at least. Well, what's that thing? Teo, what's that thing with the little gray piece in the top of the
I believe that is system allocated, but free within the Mathematica allocator.
Ah, look at that, look at that, look at that. We succeeded. Now, unfortunately, this, you know, in today's world, if I moved that cursor back, it would just continuously scroll. But in those days, when did we add continuous scrolling? Sometime in the early 90s?
Yeah, well, it was pre-version 3.
Okay.
But it required, you know, a couple orders of magnitude of improvement in speed before that made sense.
Okay, so let's try doing something else. Let's try, okay, so that succeeded, although it took a ridiculous, you know, I keep on trying to use a scroll wheel here, and there's no scroll wheel. All right, let's try something else. Let's try that integral that was in the brochure. Oh, that's most terrible. Let's see what happens if I just say, do you think a modern version of that, integraltables.com, would work? Oh, look at that. It's using more memory. It's a little scary. I didn't know it required that initialization. That must have been a special thing on the Mac. That wasn't true on the workstation version. The workstation versions, it just worked. But here, look at that. It's a bit scary here because the memory usage is creeping up. Okay. Let's see. All right, let's try, go back there, and let's see whether it manages to make it. Oh, amazing. Now, it's perhaps interesting to see. Let's see whether, if you look sort of inside the belly of the creature, does it have things like that? Yeah, it does. Look at that, just like today. Now let's try something like, let's try a plot. I would be able to try a plot.
Oh, that's asking a lot.
Really?
I remember it was about 1.5 minutes for plot sine of x, but that may have been slightly before this. That was like a Mac Plus.
No, there we go. Look at that. Came out just fine. Now, and look at that. It's even got resize handles, although now they're nice and orange. But that was the weight cursor. Yeah, I only just saw the weight cursor just for a moment there. That weird string figure thing. How do I get to see the really admire the weight cursor? Okay, so let's try a 3D plot. Let's do the characteristics sine xy, x03, y03. Is this going to look? It's a little bit. I mean, I'm running right. Well, I'm not at the edge of memory yet. Oh, look at that! Look at that! Look at that!
And there's the weight cursor.
What's that?
You missed the weight cursor.
Oh, did I miss the weight cursor? Yeah. Now this is do I get to do anything with this? Can I pick this up and rotate it around, or is that am I 10 years too early for that?
This is PostScript. This is pre-hidden surface removed. Or I mean, post-hidden surface removal.
Yeah, so this is not real time. So this is something. So if I said show this viewpoint, oh, and it doesn't have. Oh, terrible! It doesn't have auto completion. Let's just try some random viewpoint. Is that going to work, or is that going to fail horribly? Should work. Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Now, did we have, in 3D graphics, we had 3D graphics, but did we have spheres in 3D graphics?
I think you had to load a package.
Ah. Oh, well, that's no good. Okay, well, let's try. I see. Okay, now the other thing we could do here, where was that? So that required some kind of sample. Oh, that's packages. Well, why? Oh, so it doesn't have the packages disk. Well, I've got a packages disk here. I can surely load it in. Let's take a look. I've got a whole array of disks here. What does this say? Disk 2, 3, 4, 5, sample notebooks. But where are the packages? Well, that's no good. Maybe it's in utilities. Why would it be in utilities? It says packages, samples 1, 2, 3, but I only have samples 1 and 2, and I have a thing called utilities. But let's see if utilities is anything useful. One might think something called utilities would have useful stuff. Whoops, the label after 30 years has come off this floppy disk. Let's pull the label out before it gets stuck in the innards of the Mac. Okay, let's see what happens here. Please locate this file or click cancel if you don't want to open it. Okay, let's go to utilities here. Oh no, that's something totally irrelevant. Okay, well that didn't work. All right, let's try some things like some of our friends like Nestlist. I think Nestlist was alive and well in those days. Oh yeah, it looks great. Now I think, let's see, let me get the old Mathematica book. And let's see what kinds of things we can do there. Yeah, there's all kinds of things. Let's see. I've got. Should we do some math? Should we do some? Oh yeah, there's all kinds of. We could do. Actually, the one thing. Let's see if we can get. Let's take a look at some of the menus here. Oh gosh, I have to hold down. What are settings? What would I have there? Display, graphics, color. Color doesn't do us much good on a black and white machine. What does it say here? Oh my gosh, that's how to do the patterns for density plots and things like that. But let's go to the action menu. This, under kernels, we should be able to get a remote kernel, except I don't think this machine is connected to a network. That's sad, because otherwise we could potentially connect this very, very old Mac to a very modern kernel. That would be a cool little hack.
But it wasn't MathLink at that time, was it?
Yes, it was. It was, absolutely.
Really?
Well, the remote kernel connection absolutely was MathLink. The local kernel connection wasn't, but the remote one was. I wonder what would happen if I just selected remote kernel. It'll probably come up with some dialogue. Or maybe it doesn't do anything. How would I set? Well, that's probably going to be a fail. How would I set the? Oh, it's still set to local kernel. It refused to set itself to remote kernel. How would I set up the remote kernel? There's a style menu.
Yeah. Well, you'd have to be on a network for one thing.
Well, yes, I realize that. Well, maybe it knows it isn't on a network. Maybe it was clever enough to know that. All right, let's see. What else can I do? Let's have some requests. Anybody want to try anything out here? We could. I'm looking through the version 1 book. Oh yeah, it's always good. Oh gosh, I keep on trying to run a scroll wheel. This is a big.
You know, I encountered a copy of that book in the wild just yesterday.
Really?
Yes. Want to guess where?
No. Well, yes. No, I can't guess where.
A science-based escape room.
Wow.
It wasn't part of the clue. There wasn't like a clue in it. It was just a prop.
Okay, the thing I'd really like to do here, there's a bunch of code in the book, and what will be cool is to take that code and run it in, wow, I didn't remember we had that. Okay, look, here's an interesting thing to try. So if I say n of pi, comma 200 or something, okay, that works fine. There is a weird function here called recognize, which is a precursor of modern things. Let's see what that does. Okay, it refuses to work because it isn't an algebraic number. But I think if I copy what's in the book here, and then let's see, I can copy paste right from this cell. There's no harm in, there's no problem in doing that. Oh, I don't know what I did there, but okay, so I copied that, paste that there, and I can run it. Oh, it still doesn't work. Well, whatever. I don't know why. I'd probably have to. Oh, that's because I'm looking at the section of the book that's about a package. That actually confused me for a minute because I thought, okay, let's see, what else could we try doing? We could try doing solving equations. We could try doing mathematical functions. We could try. Yeah, someone there is asking for a link to the book. Yeah, you can. I'll show that in a minute.
Is the help browser there?
What's that?
The help browser.
How could the help browser be there? It didn't have room. It barely had room to store the code, let alone the documentation.
Well, but there was the very stripped down, you know, the sort of
well, let's see what happens if I just type question mark. Okay, let's try typing question mark star if we really want to live dangerously. Oh no, this may. Okay, there we go. Yeah, good. Okay, so let's actually try. I'm sure we can say names of star, and then we can say / length, and that's really anemic. 682. That's so sad. If I do that today, I'll get like 6,000. It's 10x improvement, so to speak. But let's take a look at some of the things that are in here. I mean, there's some. We've got all kinds of funky elliptic functions, all kinds of package control functions. We've got, oops. Well, let's try, how about we do this? Let's try taking, do we have, let's try doing, I think, I'm trying to remember how we would get a random, oh, that's not very helpful. Why doesn't this tell us? I think I might have to look in the book here. Let's see, random. Yes, I thought that's how it worked. Why doesn't it give us documentation? Maybe it just doesn't have any documentation loaded. Yeah, we changed this actually, and right, we changed how that works. It's now random integer. It's one of the few changes like that that got made. Let's see, let's try doing, I was thinking I could try writing a little piece of code here. Let's say table, let's say table, I assume we have disks. Disk random, let's try table random real 10, 2, and let's make 10 of those. Is that going to work? Amazing. And now let's say graphics of that. That was rather unhelpful of it. Oh, maybe I have to say show. Ah, okay. Not so bad. That's right, because graphics was not, okay, so what I need to do there, I think this wasn't defaulting yet to, I think I have to say table random real there, comma, let's say 1. And it takes a little while to run there. And let's say graphics of that, / show. And ta-da! Okay. Now, I wonder whether that works. Was there a sphere yet? No, there was no sphere. So in 2D, there were polygons, but there weren't yet spheres. Yeah, I think the spheres came significantly later. But here, let's see. We can probably try doing. Let's just try doing 50 disks. And we didn't have opacity, but we certainly had, and we wouldn't have had color, so that won't work. But we could presumably have gray level. So we could presumably say in here, gray level random, comma disk. Why is this not line wrapping the code? Teo, why didn't this line wrap the code?
Well, because you don't want to line wrap code. Nobody line wraps code. Ancient world.
What's that?
When it's a monospaced text, you don't line wrap it. That's for newfangled typesetting systems.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that came in a few years later. All right, let's try this. So we claim to have different gray levels. Let's see whether that works. And let's try showing this. Dun, da, da. Oh, there's the weight cursor coming up. Look at that weight cursor. See that snazzy weight cursor? And look at those bizarre gray disks. Now, it's a little bit weird that they are with an aspect ratio. Let's see, if I say show that aspect ratio to automatic, boy, command completion really helps. See if that works now. Ta-da! Magnificent. It's a little bit disquieting to see those kind of fabric patches get drawn. Was that the best? Was that our dither patterns, or was that some Mac standard?
I believe those are quick draw dither patterns. I don't think we made those up. I don't think so.
Well, but I saw in that menu, in the configuration menu someplace here. Where was the configuration menu? There was a setup menu. Where was it? Where was it?
Windows?
It was I just saw it. There was a menu. Where would it be?
Could it be under Window?
Might be. Oh, look, let's look at About Mathematica. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Oh, and there's all the secret buttons in there. Wow.
Well, and also look at this. There was the cellular automaton.
Yes. Well, but there's secret buttons that will make that go fill the whole area.
Oh, yeah. How do you do that?
I think try clicking a little bit to the right of the rightmost checkbox. Yeah, just click around it a little, all around in there.
There it is. You're absolutely right. Just filled the whole area. I mean, what it's doing here is very unclear, but okay. So if I try and make
unclear, it's a transparently obvious cellular automata.
Yes, it is transparently obvious. And if I could do my,
I think the big square button on the left will randomize restart. Okay.
Well, isn't that cool? Wow, you never know what you're going to find in here. Now, it took many more years before, oh, there's Rule 110. Wow. There.
I think there's actually another secret button. If you click around it, it'll make it go full screen.
Click around where?
Where you were with the hidden buttons over there. That may have come later.
Look at that.
There you go. That's
the craziest thing. We didn't add actual cellular automaton functionality to the language until version, until sometime right around the time the NKS book came out in 2002, partly because I couldn't figure out, cellular automata are sort of very generally parameterizable programs, and I couldn't figure out a good way to specify sort of all the ones one would want in a clean fashion. But okay, well, anyway, there's some Rule 110. How on earth do I get out of this?
Well, I was going to say, I have no idea. You could try the escape. I mean, the escape key maybe would be the first thing to try.
Okay, all right, okay. Let's try that. Oh, you were absolutely right. The escape key was right. Let's see, the question is... There's
probably now more people who know about that hidden button than did at the time.
Well, yes. Let's see. How about reproducing the logo? Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, Okay, let's try. Let's see whether we can. Okay, as our perhaps final act in trying to, unless we have more requests for things to try, let's in the little bit of memory we have left here, let's try reproducing the logos. So I think we need to load. Oh no, but we need to load the polyhedra. And where on earth are the polyhedra? Maybe the polyhedra are missing. I wonder whether there's other disks here. Well, let's see. The polygon. Let's try doing this. Let's try making a table of random reals, size 10. Table there, 3. And let's try doing this. This will live a bit dangerously. Let's try doing a table of, let's say, and this may be really horrendous, 30 polygons, and let's do a show of a graphics 3D. You know, I really hate this thing that I have to actually type new lines in the code, and I also hate the fact that it doesn't have syntax coloring. Now, how am I supposed to figure out whether those brackets close correctly? I need one more. 30 does not. Oh, piffle. That's modern times. Okay. What do you mean it's not a list of 3 numbers? Polygon. Oh, polygon requires, if I want to make triangles, I have to make a list of 3, 3, right? Yeah, that's going to make a list of 3 triples for the coordinates in 3D space. And we're waiting. Now, why isn't that wait cursor? I thought that, when does the wait cursor come up? Is it the equivalent of formatting of the
yeah, it's when when the kernel is running, the front end is not blocked, so you can still do stuff. So there's no wait cursor. It's when the front end is blocking.
Actually, let's try it. Can I do Command 4 and start typing in? No. How do I get a section heading? Go to Style.
Style, yeah.
Cell Style. Oh, wait a minute. It said Command 4 was a section heading, just like today.
But probably only worked when you actually had something selected, maybe not at an insertion point.
Ah.
Maybe.
Okay. Well, let's try it. Let's try. But then what would I have to do here? How would I start typing? And I couldn't have had to start typing.
And then, well, that's a good question.
That seems very silly.
You can always hold down the Option key, Command Option 4. By the way, you're about out of memory. It'll be interesting to see if it starts. So if we're lucky, it will start increasing the size of the gray area now as it purges stuff. Rather than, well,
did you think I can do, you know what? I could just kill the input and output lines. That would save some memory.
Yeah, but not while it's running.
Well, maybe I have to kill it and then do that. But yeah. I'm a little bit confused by this whole thing about, let's see, if I do Command 7, okay, that worked. That was nice. That's like a nice modern notebook setup. Wait a minute, what about a cell group? Hey, I wanted to see a cell group, but this didn't auto group here. How do I group those cells?
Under cell?
Group cells. Okay, so then we had auto grouping. Look at that, isn't that amazing? Oh yeah, look at these things. Yeah. These are really cool. Yeah, we have to look at those. Those are fun. Let's okay, let's try and have this thing not die. Do I do Command period?
I think so.
Local kernel interrupt. Wow.
So you can try abort.
I could try abort, or I could try actually quit the kernel. Let's try abort. Not hopeful. Let's try something more violent. Let's try quitting the kernel, because then we can still. Do you really want to quit the kernel? Sure. Boom. Now, until you begin a new session. Why is it telling me that? What do you mean? Until well, okay, look at that. Look at how much memory we just saved. Now, okay, while we're doing that, I want to show something with the cell grouping business. So let's see if I put a title cell up here. How can I not have to type? So you say if I do Option.
It seems like you should be able to type Command 1 and then start typing. I don't think that ever didn't work. That just seems. But anyway, at this point, you could do Command Option 1, and that should convert the whole cell.
Well, I
without
can
having to
okay,
select.
so now what I wanted to do is I want to go ahead and select everything, which I assume is still Command A. No, it wasn't Command A. Well, how would I select everything? Can I drag select? No, I can't drag select because I can't. Can I shift select?
Yeah. Why can't you drag select? You should be able to.
Because I can't drag down because it doesn't drag.
It doesn't auto scroll?
It doesn't auto scroll.
Weird.
It didn't seem to be auto scrolling. Okay, so now if I select everything, what I want to do is I want to say group all those cells. And now, in a piece of drama, look at that. Yes, look at that amazing horizontal thing, which almost is like one of those mini views.
So here, try this. Make a new input cell below without opening that.
Okay.
And then option click on its cell bracket.
Option click?
Yeah.
Well, it's giving me some weird hand here. That doesn't look good. It just gives me, when I hold down the option key, it gives me a hand.
Oh, maybe it's doing something different than command click. Try that on the cell bracket.
Click on the cell bracket.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Click. But look at this. This is a nice modern thing, and we'd started the regalia of cell brackets here. What did that little check mark thing mean?
That means not evaluatable.
Oh, okay.
Same as it's.
What I wanted to show is the thing where you can do a find and you can see.
Right. Yeah. I was trying to option click on the cell bracket. Should have selected all the input cells. But
so what do I do here? If I say find,
yeah.
There, and so what do I do here?
Just put in something like X maybe, and then click and then all. Oh
yeah, look at that. It's kind of like some kind of gel or something for
Yeah, I mean that was actually slightly useful functionality that we lost at some point for.
Well, I mean, so what that's showing is which cells in the cell bracket. It's kind of a mini view. I'm sure somebody's claimed that they invented mini views, but let's see. Yeah, I mean, so that was showing where there was nothing you couldn't click. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, that cleared the selection.
Well, now you selected the whole thing now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. What else can we show here? What other cool things are there? There were a lot of stuff to do with conversion to PostScript. Wasn't that exciting?
Show cell contents should, I think.
Oh, that might work. Yeah, let's see whether that works. So let's say I go down here and where did I have that graphic? There we go. There's a nice graphic. What would I do? I could say, what would I do here? I would say, oh, look, all those things with page breaks and so on. Oh, there's the settings down there. Let's look at action. Oh, wow. New output replaces old. Output cells are grouped with input. Okay, multiple output cells grouped together. Beep when an evaluation is finished. How do we get it to beep? That was another interesting feature. And what happens if I press help? Oh, now we get a wait cursor. Oh, well. That's interesting. You know, we did a test at the time of version 3. We did a test, a focus group with longtime users where we had them open the physical box and comment on different components in it. One of the big components in the box was this big, thick manual about how to use the user interface. And most of the people in that focus group looked at that thing, and I remember them kind of holding it up and saying, wow, I never knew this was in here. In other words, none of them had ever even opened it, which was the last time we tried to document a user interface in textual form like that. Well, at least until our modern workflows. But what I was looking for was the remote kernel configuration stuff. That must have been here somewhere. I'm thinking, well, what else would be under settings? Maybe startup? Wow, this is, oh, I see. Whether to load integration rules at startup, whether to use, whether to automatically start a local kernel, okay. the stack size, requested 256 kilobytes of stack size. You know, the really terrible thing about modern computers is you still have to do things like allocate, well, maybe you don't anymore. Maybe the stack size is finally just grows down from the top of memory and the heap grows up from the bottom of memory. Maybe that's no longer, maybe that finally got fixed and you don't have to, I think with like Java, you still have to declare all that stuff.
What is in the kernel menu under action?
Where? Kernel menu, which?
Yeah, under the action menu, the kernel submenu. What are
well,
the
it seemed to just have these things for remote kernel. And when I did the remote kernel, it just refused to do anything. It just was dead. So maybe it knows that this computer isn't connected to anything that would allow it to.
Yeah, at some point I think you would get like a place you could put in an IP address or something.
Well, I think you could get a place where you put in a phone number. I mean, if we
yes, you could actually put in a phone number.
Maybe we have to. Maybe I wonder if we have. I don't think we have a modem or anything that would pretend to be a modem here. Let's see. Well, what's Mathematica help? Oh, wow. There's something here. That's a notebook. Oh, look at that. There's help on menus, and we could like search for the. We could search for things here. Dialog box help. Wow. Oh, there we go. There's the dialog box. Oh yeah. What I wanted to show is all this stuff with the why the beep, because that was one of the very obscure things. Was it would just beep and you couldn't tell why it had beeped, and so we added a why the beep. It's under here. Why the beep. Oh, we also have explain selection. Wait a minute. You tried to. It did beep, but this poor Macintosh is mute. I think this Macintosh tried to beep out in.
Right. So network window. That's the secret there. Is there in the Windows menu?
You must first open the network window and log into a remote computer before selecting a remote. Okay. Oh yeah, so it is. We should read the old documentation. Okay, so there's a network window. Now what happens?
I think that's a terminal emulator.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so hang up, phone, log out. Okay, terminal. There we go. 300 baud. We can work at 300 baud here. And I knew there must be some. Use CRC error correction. That's cool. Now let's see. Edit corrections. What does direct mean? Edit connections. Those are autodialers. Yeah. Those are ATDT. I remember that. Now, if only we could connect this to a cell phone and actually dial something, we'd be in great shape. I don't know how we get there from here. It would be interesting to see. I think this would work. I think that if we were to connect it to a modern kernel, I think there is a good chance that we'll be able to talk to it. Do you want? No. Well, anyway, what else can we show here? It's cool. All this stuff works. I'm still completely mystified what happened to this computer. Oh yeah, there are all kinds of things here for changing cells. Let's take a look at on the live stream if people have any questions here. Somebody's saying bring back the minimap. Was full form Control E around in version 1? Let's find that out. I don't actually know. Let's see. So no, I don't want to save changes. So what I was trying to do was let's try Control E. Didn't do anything. I think
Command Shift E.
Yeah, but I know that's the modern version. I thought, oh yeah. Well, Command Shift E just appeared to redraw it. Well, let's see. Any other?
Well, look under Cell. There should be a menu item there for it.
I thought there would be, yeah, but I didn't see it. Oh, formatted, and then we could go to unformatted. Great. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's really wild. Look at what that is. Okay, who knows what that is? Bet there's some people on this live stream who know what that is. that is PostScript code. That's the PostScript code that draws the that graphic.
Which you can edit and get a different graphic.
That's wild.
Try it on the show command. Because it's obviously not going to be boxes, but what is it?
I don't think it's anything. I think the formatted and unformatted version are the same. Let's see, formatted. What? What do you mean can't format cell?
Yeah, maybe it is.
I see. The notion of formatted is something that toggled between, I think, the unformatted graphics and this. So let's see. Someone is saying it's impressive that the front end design looks almost the same now. Have we considered completely rethinking it from scratch? Yeah. And have come to the conclusion in many cases that it doesn't actually make any sense. And that actually there's a reason why, for example, books haven't really been redesigned for, 500 years now. It's they're things that actually just work. Let's see, modern. Okay, somebody wants to see statistics. I don't know how much statistics stuff we actually had in version. Let's take a look. I think we had some. Let's just try doing a table.
Yeah, and by the way, the people who are completely rethinking user interfaces for computational interactive documents seem to consider copying notebooks to be the most effective way of rethinking.
Yes, right. That seems like indeed. That seems to be the latest and greatest thing. As we can see, it's half. 30 years is about half the total time that digital computers have been seriously used. So, okay, now what happened here? No kernel, local kernel. I want a local kernel. Okay, so let's try this. Where's my local kernel?
You may have to start it manually.
How do I start a kernel?
Good question.
I would have thought it was in the action menu. What do you think is under prepare? Oh, look at that. There's a make template. That's right. There was a complete selection even from the very beginning. Oh, and look at this. What does a color selector do on a black and white computer? Why do we even have a color set? Were there color max at that time?
Yeah, what is that? And the 3D viewpoint selector was cool, though. You should try that.
Oh, yeah, this was cool. Yeah, this was the only real-time thing that you could actually move.
Yeah, and I had to make it hide. I had to make it gray out the lines in the back by hand.
Huh. Well, why is this not working? Why is the maybe I have to restart the whole thing. Let's try that. Well, what about, I'm going to try and save this note.
Oh, yeah. It's not a separate process. You can't just go around starting a new kernel.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's not a separate process.
Okay, where am I going to save this? I don't really have a good scheme. Let's see. What do we call this? I would say save this document as retro-01. Now, what happens as I try and save? Oh, look, it has that same, that's crazy, that it still has that same saving percentage, whatever thing. You're right, it is amusing that people think that notebooks are the latest modern thing. It's rather charming. It's also charming that we had our physical address. That's how it feels like, kind of a one of those GDPR-like things, have your physical address on your piece of software. Let's see, what were we trying to do? We were trying to make a table of primes. And now we have to start up again. And I think things like list plot were absolutely alive and well back in those days. Well, there are our primes. Now let's do the list plot. Ta-da! I'm in that plot a lot of times in my life. Okay, what were we going to do? We were going to try, somebody wanted to see some statistics, yeah. So let's try %1, that was the list of primes. And let's see, I don't know whether we had, let's see whether mean was in there, for example. Yeah, I think that was still only as a package. And I think, well, let's just do this. Let's go ahead. Whoops, it didn't work to just do delete on a group of cells. Oh, Command X worked. Okay, so let's do apply plus to %1 divided by length %1. And that should give us a rather inelegant, I mean, we didn't have typesetting at that time, so those were sort of, that was an inelegant form of typesetting. I mean, I think it's sort of interesting to see. Let's try doing some factoring here. Let's see, maybe well, that will definitely kill it, but see if we can do something like that. Oh yeah, that worked fine. I noticed that it did do all the line breaking correctly, and I think things like short were alive and well. I think I wrote that original code. Yeah, short worked just fine back then. I think when it comes to, let's look at some like functional programming things. I wonder whether we had, I think that we had a thing called accumulate. Yes, that did what fold does now. And this was gradually deprecated, and actually accumulate was reused many, many, many years later. Although it does the same things. Yeah, so let's see, what else can we do with, let me look up. I just love doing all this functional programming stuff because that was all, oh yeah, patterns are of course an important thing, which work just fine. I wonder what happens if we say, oh yeah, and there are functions like goto, which I've never used in my whole time of using our language. Let's see, there are things like, what do we have? Let's try doing some of the, I'm looking through for the fancy functional programming stuff, and I'm not, where is that section? It probably didn't, we probably didn't call it functional programming in those days because that would sound too scary. There's a big section on, oh yeah. Yeah, there's some funky things, which I guess we still have. This was an example of, that is a weird function which has never turned out to be all that useful in all these years. But I think if we say, yeah, there are things like this. And I think we can, and all of the kinds of things, like if we say outer, let's try something like this, outer times, let's try making a multiplication table. Oh yeah, let's try making, okay, so this should make a 12 by 12 multiplication table. And if we say table, let's try doing matrix form. I think that existed of that. There we go. Very nice. There's a multiplication table. Now, in those days, we couldn't do the kind of typesetting type stuff of putting separators in there and so on. Oh yeah, somebody wants to see dollar version. Very good question. Let's see what this actually is. Oh, that's a cheat. This is a later version. That's probably because the disks, we didn't have disks from the actual 1.0. That's shocking. That's, let's see, the, all right, well, one, let's see, any last things we can try doing here? Someone is suggesting, what would it look like if you could, with tiling cells, like one can insert cells similar to tabs? I don't know. I think, you know, the idea of spreadsheets obviously is a rigid array of cells. That's, you know, a different model. I think we found, I mean, you know, most of the deviations that we've had from this kind of presentation have not been very successful. But anyway, well, I think, well, I'm glad this computer finally started to behave. Somebody asked for the how to get to that legacy documentation, and maybe we can just find that and wrap up with a few things on a modern version. Let's go there. So here, let's go and share a different screen here. Okay, so this was first of all reference.wolfram.com/legacy/v1 seems to be the legacy documentation. I think we really wanted to make, with that weird font at the top, we really wanted to make people who just landed on this page know that this was not intended to be a modern thing. They shouldn't go here and say, it's back when I was like, it's terrible what people find on the web and then think is definitive. Back when I was about 12 years old, I wrote this kind of book-like thing about physics. And eventually I put that on the web. Actually, when I was 13, I wrote one about particle physics. And that's on the web somewhere. And it has some kind of legend that basically says I wrote this when I was 13, because otherwise I was worried people are going to quote a bunch of stuff about quantum field theory from that book, which would probably be a mistake. Anyway, let's just try. Here's a nice modern 11.3. Let's try my 1989 to the 1989 and see what happens now. Bump, there we go. So remember, before on the other machine it was taking forever to do that. Now it's sort of instantaneously, and we can probably, even if we just say repeated timing of that. Okay, very small fraction of a second. And remember, we had 682 functions, I think. Let's see how many functions we have here. Length of names of star would give us the functions in here. And okay, so almost 10x the number of functions. And maybe we could just do, the same things I was doing just over there. I could do, I bet that it still works to do just pure random, but I don't think it likes it. Yeah, it still works. Still compatible, because we want to be able to run code that comes from 30 years ago, but it's not, oh, well, that's nice. It has a lot more syntax coloring here, but so that would work. So we could probably do the exact same thing we did there. We could do table of gray level, of random open close, of disk, of random real table, that, and we could do this, just exactly the same as I was typing over there, comma 1, this thing, and then I could do this, and I could say how many I did there. I think I only did 20 there, but and then I can just say graphics of that. Now notice I don't have to do the show anymore. If I do the show, it's not going to hurt anything. But there's the result. Probably here we could just perfectly well, we can do as many as we want, and it will be happy as could be. And we don't even see, probably if we ask to, I wonder what would happen if we asked to rasterize this. We could probably, we never see dither patterns here, I guess. Not the way it works anymore. Anyway, and nowadays, if we want to get a spiky, which we were having trouble with there because it was on a disk we didn't have, you just say spiky, and you can say, well, let's say we take that and we just ask for an image of that, and we should get a nice, yeah, there we go. There's a nice spiky. Of course, we've upgraded the spiky. Back in the day, that was a, oh no, that's just the image. I needed the 3D graphic of it. Anyway, the back in the day, that was a plain stellated icosahedron, but now we've upgraded to this rhombic hexagonahedron. Okay, and yeah, indeed, we do have the documentation, as somebody is saying, from 1988. So if you still have a, somebody has the complete version 1 disks out there, version 1.0. I seem to have some disks from version 1.0 that I just found in my archive box this evening, but I seem to have the utilities and sample notebooks here. So I think time to look a little bit more carefully for those, or maybe I should just go try and buy them on eBay. Well, okay. Thanks. Thanks all for joining us. Sorry that got off to a bit of a slow start here. Absolute mystery what happened to that Mac. And Teo, do you have any ideas what on earth could take 15 minutes for a piece of electronics to
I have no clue. I mean, nothing like that ever happened to me back in the day. Bizarre.
Oh well. Anyway, well, thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll be doing a few more things in celebration of our 30th anniversary. It's cool to see that the stuff we built that long ago still makes sense, and if I had a way to just move code from this old Mac over to my new machine, I would find that it still ran, which I find very satisfying, and it's something we intend to maintain in the future, so that people who write code today can expect in another 30 years, one hopes, even if not all of us are still running then, for the code to still run. All right. Thank you all very much, and good night.